there's something that's really interesting that no one else I don't see anyone else doing it in this industry. Like we've all seen the shots behind the DJ booth. We've all seen everything. Everything just seems to be regurgitated content,
Yeah.
and you're not. It's really how big is your team behind you doing this?
Well, I got my two managers who were also into like the same stuff. You know,
Yeah.
like one of them really like into, you know, comes from the punk rock sphere. And my other manager, we have similar interests in like our tattoo artists. We have similar interests in our you know, artists, graphic artists that we like, fashion stuff. And my agent, he's more like into like the agent is different. The agent is more of a function of like, you know, like I need a
Business.
bulldog who's out there like
Yeah.
getting my shit done for me.
Yeah.
But as far as the management team, you know, we really have like similar interests, and they really do understand me,
Yeah.
and they understand my interests. And so it's never a question of things if things are cool or not. It's a question of, for me, like, is this the best and most unique thing that I can do in the moment? Because at the end of the day, not every piece of art I'm going to make are going to get, and not every song is going to be a banger and it's going to be a hit.
Yeah.
But as long as I can put my best foot forward in each individual thing, then that's the goal.
Yeah.
That if I can get it in the moment as best I can, then that's what's perfect at the moment. And that works for us, you know, and it's never been a question of, is this cool or not? Or it's more of a, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just, I just do what I like.
Yeah. It makes so much sense to me, and it's just authentically you, which
Yeah.
is what I tell everybody when they ask for advice. Is like, just be you. Like, don't try and, it's not trying to fit in with anything. It's just be you and create the best possible art, whatever art you're making. If you're making art to listen to or art to put up on the wall or whatever you do, is like, just be you. And there will be a niche of people that will like you.
Totally.
It's just the process of the artist, of seeing somebody successful and wanting that success, not necessarily wanting to be that artist, but wanting that success, and then morphing their art to then sound or be like that successful artist, which then takes the authentication of that artist out, and then you've got another run-of-the-mill artist that's just doing what everyone else is doing.
Exactly. And there's like a couple, I can maybe explain it through a little bit of anecdotes, you know, and because you're right, dude, the classic trite saying, I mean, just be yourself, man.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's real.
Yeah.
People say that, it's trite. It has become a trite saying because it's so true.
Yeah.
That it really is boiled down to that. But I tell, you know, aspiring hardcore and hardstyle producers all the time this one anecdote. I go, listen, that kick that you think that you made that you think is too weird or is different or like it's not normal, that's the kick.
Yeah.
That's the one that you need to use. And if the kick is nice, use it twice. You know, like a key to branding and a key to developing a sound, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is using the same sounds over and over again.
Yeah.
And I realized the way I arrived at this was it was quite simple. I was like, well, you know, like the Beatles, I'm not a huge fan of the Beatles, but the Beatles got up on stage every night for years and years on years with the same guitar, the same amp, the same bass, the same drums, and the same mics. And they played 2 hours with the exact same instrument and their voices. They only had a very finite amount of
variation
tools to use. Yeah. But they made it work. They became the biggest band of like all time.
Yeah.
You know, in their era. And if that's anything, there's a really big lesson there. Is that, and I think this is the problem with EDM in general, and I think electronic music in general, that the plethora of information that we have, which is beautiful, like Splice and all these different things, amazing thing to have at our fingertips. unreal can be a crux, or it can be a crutch, excuse me, it can be a crutch to an artist because too much information. And this notion that we need to invent the wheel and we need to make something completely unique every single time has somehow crept into the fold of the music industry, especially electronic music, and it's just so not true. It's so not true. And the guys who have sounds because you can tell that it's them. And why can you tell that it's them? Because of the sound.
Yeah. It's it's part of the branding, and I think a lot of artists don't like talking about themselves as a brand. I actually like the word brand, and I like boxing everything into something so that you know what you're going to get. I think there's a level where, as an artist, you're allowed to evolve in that brand, and your sound can evolve and change. But I think that's also down to the artist telling the story the correct way to then evolve. But yeah, one of my closest mates, I'm not going to mention their name, but like, it's a classic example of when the sound starts to get big that they're making, they revert back to somewhere else and go make something new. And I'm like, you just have to wait here for 3 more years and you could be the biggest person in that scene. But every time you decide, and then they not complain, but they're like, why is this person doing that when I was doing this 3 years before them? I'm like, well, the fact is that person stuck to that and carried on going and carried on pushing. And there's levels, right? It's like, there's levels to that where it's like, maybe we need the forerunners at the front pushing sounds. And sometimes those people aren't actually worried on a business side of things to go, okay, I'm just going to keep doing this until it is financially viable and the brand has turned into an actual brand and it's actually earning me a reasonable amount of money. And then there's some people where I guess for me is like, I'm a little bit more driven by finances and driven by success in finance, where it's like, okay, let's double down, and it's similar for you from what it feels like from an outsider's point of view. It's like, this is me and this is what you're going to get from me for a long time, and you will like it. And if you don't like it today, you'll like it tomorrow.
Yeah, and you'll talk about it at the very least, you know. And I'm with you 100%. I think of everything very analytically, very objectively, very, very business kind of oriented. And what's enticing to me, and I learned this through my failures in the music industry. I learned this through years and years of trying different things and ultimately not arriving anywhere. And what I realized over the past 4.5 years, completely sticking to hard dance, picking one thing, was that there's only the individual who attacks one thing and dedicates their whole essence to a genre or a like finite scope can understand the intricacies, the nuances, the subtle nuances of music or a specific genre that other people will not be able to. The people that jump around and people that do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and whatever, and that's very enticing to me. I'm more interested in being a master of one thing and being that guy and knowing something so in and out that and that's my experience, that only time and only dedicated effort in one area can truly lead the individual to a place of extreme depth. And there's something very fulfilling about that. You know, there's something very, very, very fulfilling to me in that realm. And it's like, well, and I attribute it to the gym as well, that it's like, dude, you go in and you bench press, right? And I've been bench pressing for 3-4 years. But it's different. It's different because I've done it for 3 and 4 years now. And the bench press has taken on a much different aspect, or at least my like chest days have taken a different aspect. And I found that same thing with creating music, you know. And one other thing is another big pitfall I think a lot of artists make as they grow, like your friend, what you were saying about your friend, is that you grow and you get new fans. But what I think a lot of artists realize is that their new fans didn't see all the stuff the past 2 years.
Exactly.
So you don't need to like continually make a brand new everything. Like you really don't.
Yeah.
Like those people haven't heard the cum jokes yet. You know what I mean? So make another fucking cum joke because it's funny, you know, or whatever the example is, you know.